Nutritional biochemistry. He spends a lot of time working through the macronutrients and all that stuff. Real quick, what's the big one he talks about?
Protein.
Yep. Mm-hmm. More than anything, protein. We have to have enough protein.
Again, yeah, it's not the end all, be all.
Right.
I don't know, one specific thing.
Right.
But yeah, I also found that to be refreshing because it's, something that we talk about from time to time. Any sort of nutritional recommendation, any sort of discussion, protein comes up in some capacity.
Right.
So
yeah, he is very cool about how he leaves room for people to play in the carb area and in the fat area. And he says, look, the monounsaturated is better than polyunsaturated, which may or may not be better than saturated, but fats are like this and you need some of it. Your brain needs some of it. You should probably be getting more omega-3s. You should probably get some omega-6s, but really protein is the number one macronutrient that you're probably not getting. The other thing we should mention, he calls alcohol a macronutrient, which is that a normal thing or is that his own slipping that in there?
That's a good question. I don't know what the scientific basis of calling it that. I mean, because it really is in its own category.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, yes, there are some carbohydrates or whatever in there, but it is sort of its own
right.
Its own category.
There's low carb alcohol too. So
yeah, there was another nutritional biochemistry book that I partially sifted through and they framed alcohol in a similar way.
And what's the punchline on alcohol?
It's really not ideal in any amount.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's kind of like refined sugar. A little bit's not going to hurt you, but there's no amount that's going to help you. And all of the old studies and all the old research about, well, you got to have some red wine every night, and then it's good for your blood and all that stuff. It's all been debunked at this point. That a little bit of alcohol is fine, but I think he says he tells people to limit to never more than 5 a week and never more than 2 a day. Because that ultimately plays into so many other things. Particularly, it can affect sleep, which is another one of his 5 pillars. We talk about sleep all of the time. Anything big in there that you didn't know prior or you weren't expecting?
I would say not really. Yeah. Again, he talks about, he just has a really great way, and it would be a disservice to try to explain the way he explains certain sleep hygiene techniques that we've already talked about. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
Episode 1, go back and watch it. We talk about it.
I mean, honestly, a lot of those recommendations, it's not that we pulled them directly from this book. The book wasn't even out yet.
No.
But at the same time, it's pulled from like the same world that he's sort of living in.
Yeah.
He makes reference to different mentors and reputable sort of people in their given fields. For example, the cholesterol. There are individuals that are very knowledgeable on cholesterol that he sort of gravitated to, and he makes mention of them in the cholesterol chapter. And so again, it's just that he pulls this information from a lot of the same places that we're looking, and he has a very keen way of explaining it, but nothing that really jumped out that I think we're missing, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, right? I agree. Yeah, it had a lot of good stuff, but nothing revolutionary. Just that you have to sleep. It's critical. And and he does call out, he spends a lot of time talking about the neurological benefits of sleep and how it helps to fend off the neurodegenerative issues later in life.
Yes, that is a good point. The issues with cognitive impairment and all those sorts of things as they relate to sleep are, he does not understate those.
Yeah. Yeah. That, again, convicting for me always has been. I don't sleep as much as I probably should, but I'm trying. I'm really, really trying.
He does talk about sauna, right? He talked a little bit about sauna and hot tub. There's some evidence there. I know we joked about cold tubs and all that, those sort of interventions on, in past discussions, but those are, in his mind too, those are top of the pyramid sort of things, you
Yeah.
know, like the base of the pyramid are the things that we've talked about
Movement.
with respect to
Nutrition, sleep.
yes.
Yeah.
He's in by no means after reading this book do I feel like he puts hot tubs, saunas, cold plunges, rapamycin, these other things. I don't think that he's not putting those at the base of the pyramid for every person.
Right.
But if you look beyond just what are his basic sleep hygiene recommendations, he does throw in some tidbits like, do you have access to a sauna? You know,
Yeah.
try to get X amount of hours in the sauna per week. He does believe there's some longevity and, you know, benefits there.
And then the last big chunk here is the extra molecules, supplementation and pharmacology. It doesn't get its own chapter. He just kind of throws those in periodically throughout. I have pulled some other sources. I've looked at other things that he's talked about in the past. And some of the big ones that he talks about are all things that we have that we highly recommend as well. Omega-3s, probiotics, magnesium, vitamin D, and a multivitamin are kind of the fundamentals. And then on top of that, a protein shake, a protein supplement to help get that added protein that you need to have. Anything in there that blew your mind or you were surprised by?
He seems to be a big fan of. So he does talk about EPA in terms of the cardiovascular risk reduction, reduction of triglycerides and such. So EPA, we're talking about fish oils, the
omega-3s for those who are keeping score at home.
He also talks about DHAs in the book and elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I think that, again, not a very controversial recommendation. I think with anything, with products like omega-3 fish oils, it's more of the quality that is a concern. You know, how are they being sourced? Where is it coming from? Is it a reputable facility?
Yep.
All those sorts of questions, which are not things that he talks about. But again, EPA, DHA specifically in terms of doing what you can to mitigate the decline in cognitive function, minimize the risk of maybe some of these Alzheimer or dementia-related conditions.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's something to consider.
Yeah, he says basically if you don't live on the coast and eat fish 3-4 times a week, that you probably need an omega supplement. So that's definitely me. Nothing crazy there. Probiotics, magnesium, vitamin D, and a multivitamin. He talks about, he's an investor in Athletic Greens, so he talks about Athletic Greens, but it's a multivitamin, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what that is. Also, you should just eat your colors. So that you don't need a supplement like Athletic Greens. But multivitamins are great.